Hey friend, welcome to Self-Transformed, a podcast redefining self-care through simple fitness, nutrition, and mindset habits. I'm your host, Emily Nichols, certified personal trainer, Whole30 coach, and Taco Tuesday enthusiast. Hey, I know the struggle is real when it comes to taking care of you. I too am a busy working mom who felt physically and emotionally drained until I took action on my own transformation journey. I finally found the solutions to feeling confident and living a healthy lifestyle that doesn't feel hard, and now I'm on a mission to equip you with sustainable tools to help transform your life from the inside out, guilt-free. Together, we will simplify your health and fitness into daily habits that don't feel like another thing on your long to-do list, but daily actions that light you up instead. So if you're ready to redefine self-care and step into your own self-transformation, then let's do this. You're listening to episode 148 of Self-Transformed. Hey friend, welcome back to the show. Today is a continuation of our fitness series. Today is day 3 of 4. We will conclude this series next Monday, just expanding a little bit on my own fitness journey that I haven't shared very deeply, that I think might be inspiring to some of you, to hopefully get you inspired to start moving your body as well and seeing the multiple benefits of this amazing self-care habit for yourself. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to remind you to come join the Self-Transformed community. I do a free mini workshop every month as voted on by the ladies in the community. So they vote what we want to talk about. The workshop is just a live Facebook Live video in the group, 15 minutes or less. Sometimes I do go a couple minutes over because I get a little chitty-chatty sometimes, but 15 minutes or less because I know you're busy, just to get a little additional free coaching and answer your questions directly there via a Facebook Live video. So it is linked in the show notes. You can also go to bit.ly/self-transformed-fam. So our next free mini workshop is coming up on the 11th. I am actually posting this week in the group a poll, what they would like to chat about as far as free coaching from me in regards to self-care, habits, all the things that we talk about here on the Self-Transform podcast. I'd love to have you join us over there, at least just to follow the funny memes I post over there as well and have a sense of community. I also have a big announcement coming here on the show, so make sure you tune in. My friends in the Facebook community are actually always the first to hear about it. So I am so super excited about today's guest on our fitness series. So this is day 3 of 4. Like I mentioned, we've talked about yoga. We have talked about Peloton. And now we are talking about one of my biggest soulmate workouts. As you know, I am a coach there. Yes, we are talking about Orangetheory today. And when thinking about bringing on someone to talk about Orangetheory, their love for it, I could have brought on another coach. I could have just talked about it personally, but I wanted to bring on someone who bleeds orange, who is so genuine about the community, and that is Brooke Garrison from Orangetheory Memes. You can look up Brooke at Brooketheory on Instagram, but also Orangetheory Memes on Instagram. It's over 110,000 followers there. So she is managing a lot of folks over there, and she truly bleeds orange as well. If you are like, I have heard of Orangetheory, but I am not really sure what it is, let me just give you a little brief synopsis. Let me tell you about it. So this is a 60-minute high-intensity interval training, heart rate zone-based workout. So you come in, you wear a heart rate monitor. We do treadmill, rowing, floor exercises with weights and body weight movements, and it is life-changing, y'all. The first time I took an Orangetheory class, I guess 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I don't know, I had a girlfriend invite me when I left that class, I was like, I am going to coach here in a year. And now I've been coaching at our studio in Avon and in downtown Indy now over the past year. And I truly, truly love it. I love the science behind it. Your heart rate is up on this big TV. You are looking at your heart rate monitor. You are trying to earn splat points, which if you know, you're trying to get that afterburn, which means you're burning calories outside of class as well. But most importantly, you're going after more life. More life just by doing the hard things in this room under those orange lights that you can apply to real life. We talk about this a lot in this conversation today with Brooke, but it's something I bring up almost every single time I coach because I want folks to not only get stronger physically, but more so mentally, emotionally, sometimes even spiritually under those orange lights. I want you to consider doing hard things. It's actually one whole module we talk about in my signature program, Self-Transform You. We talk about joyful movement. It doesn't have to be Orangetheory. It could be just going for a walk every day or jumping on a trampoline for that matter. But we talk about the actual mental and physical benefits of trying something outside of your comfort zone. And Brooke has done just that. So let me share a little bit more about Brooke Garrison from Orangetheory Memes. So she's a 24-year-old content creator behind Orangetheory Memes and Brooketheory, and she joins us from Tampa Bay to share the power of high performance habits. Yes, you know we love talking about habits here on Self-Transform. Her own Orangetheory journey and tips for starting your own. I love this. And just the unexpected path that led her to running the original meme account about everyone's favorite workout, Orangetheory. So like I said, this is an account of over 110,000 followers. So that is a lot to manage as far as creating the content, answering the story messages, answering the DMs, making sure you are building a community. And she has done such a fabulous job of doing that. I wanted to bring her on because I wanted to get a member's perspective, but someone who is so deep into the Orangetheory culture and community to give you an idea if this is something you would like to try out, or at least just inspire you based off of her story as well. Okay, so get a pen and paper handy. If you're driving, just listen or take a little voice note when you're parked, please. And make sure you stick around to the end because as always, I will share my 3 biggest takeaway, the cliff notes, if you will, based on this conversation so you can start taking action based on Brooke's story. Okay, gang, let's talk to Brooke from Orangetheory Memes. Let's go. All right, gang. Thank you so much for tuning in to Self-Transformed again this week. I am super excited to continue our fitness series this week, talking about one of my soulmate workouts, soulmate places to like go and just feel my best from the inside out. And that is talking about Orangetheory this week. And when I was thinking about bringing on a guest, I thought there would be no better person to bring on than Brooke Garrison of Orangetheory Memes. So Brooke, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It was on my bucket list this year to be on a podcast. So this is like my vision board coming to life right now.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. I love that so much. Okay. Well, this is why we connected then. I love it so much. Well, Brooke, the first question I ask every single guest is, what does the phrase self-transform mean to you? What comes to mind when you hear that?
I love this question and I've thought a lot about it. And I think that self-transformed means like the repeated act of self-accountability. It's showing up for yourself again and again. And as you evolve, you're going to go from who you were to who you're destined to be. And self-transformation is a lifelong process. So we're always going to be transforming.
Totally. Yeah. It's not just one stop and you're there, right? You're always going to go through different seasons of your life. And I love that you said your own self-accountability too. That's major. That's major. Oh, I love that. And the reason I ask that is because everyone has a totally different answer every single time, which I love that. I love that so much. Well, Brooke, would you mind sharing a little bit maybe about your own transformation stories as far as like where you've been and where you are now, what you do and who you are today, just based on your own life experiences?
Oh, yes. Okay. Where do we even start?
I know, right? It's a loaded question.
It is. So I will start from where we are now. I have been an Orangetheory member for about 2.5 years now. Some of my recent fitness accomplishments is that I just ran my first half marathon about like 3 to 4 weeks ago. It was the Disney half marathon, and Orangetheory trained me for that. Um, and my fitness journey has had a lot of winding roads to get here. Growing up, I was a gymnast and then a cheerleader. And then in high school, I ended up getting into scholarship pageants. And that led to a whole other level of training because you're training to be in a swimsuit on stage. And there were so many benefits to pageantry, but it also added a lot of pressure during a critical time in my life on body image and exercise. And then in college, I've always loved exercise, but there have been seasons in my life where I couldn't seem to do it consistently. And I would want to, but it's really hard to just rely on yourself sometimes to find a program and not overanalyze if it's the right thing for you. So yeah, when I graduated college, I decided like when I start my full-time job, I am finding a healthy hobby immediately. I'm not going to spend even a week in this new job without getting settled into a workout routine because I knew that this was such a critical time in my life. And if I did not make that a part of my life now, it would be very hard to do it down the road. And I've just seen people in my close circle and in my family struggle with health issues and weight. So I just knew that I wanted to find something that felt like fun and that would just take care of that health and wellness part for me. And Orangetheory was right down the road from my house. So I went and took my trial class by myself. People ask me all the time, like, how did you get into it? And did you go alone? And yeah, I did. I just went and took a class and I absolutely fell in love. And as soon as I got my first paycheck, I drove right back over and got an unlimited membership. And I have been going like, anywhere from like 4 to 6 days a week ever since. And it's given me everything. Like I just did my third dry try over the last weekend. And it's crazy how much I have changed as a person in that studio and under the orange lights. Like it has cultivated my body. I've lost 20 pounds. I've totally changed my body composition. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, like I've learned it's so not even about the physical. It has really served as like a season of preparation for me where my level of confidence and belief in myself has just totally transformed. And I think it prepared me for taking on something like Orangetheory Memes. So it's been a journey to get here, but to be able to feel confident in my body and for my wellness to go so much beyond an aesthetic thing, especially as someone who was in like the pageant industry, has just been such a beautiful transformation. And I've gotten to like reclaim my love for wellness. And that's because of Orangetheory and because of the way that they build the community and the templates and just the different opportunities to do like back at it challenge and all of those different things. And you get hooked on the orange juice. It's a whole thing. I'm sure people who are listening understand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. People are like, yes, I drank the orange Kool-Aid. Preach, Brooke. I know for sure. Oh my gosh. So many things to unpack there. Like I got chills just you talking about your dry try, because that's probably one of my favorite community events that we do, just because I'm sure this was the same environment at your studio when we did it this weekend. Just the amount of people cheering for each other and the amount of people that hop back on the tread for that last person to run with them to finish their dry try too. It was like no one finishes alone. Everyone's there cheering each other on. And as a coach, a lot of those folks, I remember when they came in for their first intro class, and that's really intimidating and it's scary, especially going by yourself and maybe not knowing anybody. So kudos to you for doing that, because that can be a really intimidating environment. You're like, this coach is telling me to get to base, now they're telling me to push and all out and like my watts and like what am I doing on the floor, and you're just like, wow, where am I going? And it's so great to see like members helping each other and like getting hooked onto something where you're like, this is challenging, but I can do it. Like, and I want the challenge. And the inside out transformation you've seen is just so amazing. I love that you mentioned it wasn't just about physical, just like the person you've evolved into over the past couple of years is so important to point out there too.
Yeah, I agree. And the dry try also makes me emotional too, because I have been that girl that finished last and actually was like hugging a trash can because I was puking at the end and crying hysterically. And then this third time I'm up there, rerunning on the tread to finish with people that are on the tread. And that is just like such a beautiful testament of how when you devote your time to anything in life, like you truly can see changes that you never thought were possible. And I wish I could have gone back and told, the original first dry try Brooke, like hang tight, keep showing up, it's going to get better. And it was actually cool because our studio manager was also an employee when I was at my first dry try. So she came up to me after and was like, I just want to let you know you have grown so much. Like, because she had seen the difference.
I got chills. That's so cool.
Yeah. And like, I can feel the difference, but it is always nice when someone sees it. And a lot of people who don't go to Orangetheory, like they don't know the heart and the dedication that it takes to get through some of those tough benchmarks, especially the dry try. So when you hear like a compliment from someone in the community, it's extra special.
That's so great. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. I could just talk about like all the benchmarks all day long and all the all the feel good stuff happening. So tell us about Orangetheory Memes. If someone has maybe never been to Orangetheory or they're not following your Instagram account, can you give us just an overview of what Orangetheory Memes is? So if someone's listening, they're like, what are they talking about? Orangetheory Memes, what's that?
Yeah, so Orangetheory Memes is a meme page on Instagram. It is the original meme page themed about the Orangetheory workout. It was originally founded by Rachel Woolman. She's a dear friend of mine now. When she could no longer be an Orangetheory member and decided to move on, she was having people take over the page for different weeks at a time and having them create content. And when I had started Brookie Theory a year after being a member, this kind of goes hand in hand. So I'll share that. I started my own personal page, Brookie Theory, a year after being a member, February of 2021. And I started posting like memes for fun because no one in my life did Orangetheory. So I would post, it was just like my own like online diary. I was posting about my workout so I didn't have to like talk to my mom for 20 minutes about it because she's like, what the heck is a base pace? And I actually found like making memes was kind of fun, which is funny because if you knew me growing up, I was very reserved, very shy. So my sister was always the funny one. But I realized I kind of had a knack for making memes and I would like dump like 10 at a time on Brookie Theory and use the hashtags. But long story short, that and word of mouth from other content creators who ended up following me, like Andrew Coleman Smith, put me on Rachel's radar. So one day I'm walking through the mall and I get a DM from Rachel Woolman. I'm like fangirling. She's like, hey, I want to know if you would want to take over the page for a week. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. And I mean, Orangetheory Memes has over 100, at that point had over 110,000 followers. And I'm like chilling with like 100 followers on my page. And I'm just like, I can't even believe she knows me. And like, she wants to give me this opportunity. So I had 2 weeks to prep. And I think like, if someone were to come up to you and say, hey, you have the chance to talk to 110,000+ people for a week and you have full creative control, like what are you going to do with it? To me, that just is like such an amazing opportunity to impact lives and to share your story. So it wasn't something that I took lightly. But yeah, it went really well. And then she called me and asked me to do the Hell Week takeover a few months later. So I never thought I would even get a second shot at that. So I was very like humbled that she wanted me to create again because I've been a creative all my life. I've done a variety of different like creative entrepreneurial things. And I've always wanted to be a content creator, but it wasn't until I entered the Orangetheory space that I really found my niche and it just like made sense. I think it's because it's so authentic because I literally like live, breathe Orangetheory. So she called me at the end of my Hell Week takeover and was like, would you like to take over the page full time? And she cried and I cried. And now we are really good friends. And I have been running the page entirely myself since November. And it's just been an awesome journey to connect with so many people and to like spread positive messages while also just like being silly and making people laugh.
Yeah, I always joke. I'm like, memes are like one of my love languages. Like, if you're not part of like a group text with like girlfriends, like sending funny memes back and forth or getting tagged on Instagram with all the silly memes, like you're not living your best life right now, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And what I think is so special about Orangetheory Memes is that they're typically like I post almost every day and they're themed by the workout that is going on that day, because with Orangetheory, everyone is doing the same workout across the country and I'm living and breathing it with everyone. So like we all know we just went through the same thing, which makes it all that much funnier. And I love to see like members tagging other members, tagging their coaches. And it's just opening up the door for broader conversations and community in Orange Theory. And I know as a member, I used to check the Orangetheory Memes page more than I even checked like the Orangetheory page. And I just loved reading the comments and hearing what other people thought about it because it made me feel less alone. So I think that's like my big why is I don't want anyone to feel alone on their journey because I totally was for a good part of the majority of mine. Yeah, so I'm having fun making people laugh, but also like encouraging them to go to class. And it inspires me to go to class more too, because I'm like, well, I can't create a meme from like an authentic place. So I guess I better sign up for that class today.
You're like, okay, I'll just Google what's happening on Reddit. And you're like, oh, I don't get the real feel. Because you do a really good job of that, Brooke. Because sometimes I'll look at it and be like, yep, that's the feeling that they had today, like for sure. And, you know, I'm tagging members in there and stuff. So you do a really great job of that. And you're exactly right. So if no one's ever taken an Orangetheory class before, no matter what studio you're going to today, tomorrow, whatever, it's going to be the same workout, which is the beauty of Orangetheory too. So if you travel, you can go to different Orangetheories and expect like the same kind of brand and customer service and high level workout and coaches available to you. So it's really fun. So it's a really great way to connect with other folks. I know I've been able to connect with other coaches by just following Orangetheory Memes and seeing who's getting tagged on there, which is really fun. It's fun when members tag me as well. So you've done a really great job with that of being able to allow people to cultivate community. So do you have any funny stories about like folks, or even just like sentimental stories of like folks reaching out to you through, you know, Orangetheory Memes about the community, or maybe being a little less intimidated to try something just based off the community that you've allowed to cultivate through your account?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say like I appreciate the kind words, but I wouldn't, you know, have that account without, you know, Rachel taking that chance on me. And I just think in life, sometimes it just takes like one person to see potential in you and believe in you. And I think coaches have that opportunity to do that for their members. And it can just lead to so many amazing things. So I'm super grateful to even have this opportunity. And so every day I'm like, I feel privileged to make that kind of content and to share other people's content that they're creating too. But I know some people, like one time I was sharing how much the page meant to me, and I got someone message me and say like, oh my God, you're so cringe. Like this is just a lighthearted meme page. And at first glance, yes, it is, but there's so much behind it. And when you have that account in your hands and you see the DMs flow in about how something you shared helped them PR on a benchmark, because we also share tips and tricks, and everyone pours in their advice, and we use the question feature a lot, and I share everybody's like perspectives and stuff on the Instagram stories. So it's so much more than just daily memes. It's also community and connection. And so I've gotten the privilege of getting some DMs from people all over, especially after this dry try, people who didn't really have anybody else to tell that they did the dry try, or if they did, they knew they wouldn't understand. They're like, I did it, Brooke. I followed the tips and it went so well, and I cried at the end. And it's just like, it gives me chills, because like that is my why every day, because I don't want people to feel alone. And personally, I have met some amazing friends just through this whole experience, people that I looked up to and watched their YouTube videos, like Burpees and Bourbon, Andrew Coleman Smith. Andrew Coleman Smith was who I binge watched his videos before I went and took my first intro class, you know, it's people that I've like looked up to. But really the community is so tight knit and small, and everyone, it's really easy to connect with everyone, especially through like an account like that. So I'm just excited, because after college, it's really hard to make friends and to find your people, especially because I graduated just months before the pandemic and the shutdown happened. So I was only a member for maybe like 8 weeks, and then we were closed down for several months, and then we reopened a little bit earlier than most states because I'm in Florida. But that derailed a lot of my like postgraduate friendships. So starting Brooketheory, which later led me to Orangetheory Memes, like both of those platforms have helped me make like true, genuine connections with like-minded people, because people that do Orangetheory, yeah, we come from different backgrounds. We might be all different ages and have different interests, but I think people who show up for that kind of tough workout again and again, that's something that we all have in common. And there's like a greater why. And I've just been super shocked by how welcoming everybody has been since joining the community online, and how authentic the friendships have become from it.
I love that so much. I love that so much. Well, and I know we already talked a little bit about just like the community aspect, talking about the dry try and other benchmarks and reaching those together too. And I think there's so much beauty. We talk about this a lot in class. Like you're kind of training for life. Like you're doing really hard things that you never thought you could ever do. I mean, just watching your progress with like what you've done in the dry try in the past 3 years, Brooke, and it's almost training you for life. Like if I can run just a little bit faster than I ever thought I could do, if I could even just run, right? If you were power walking just 6 months ago and you're like, wow, look at me, I'm running now. Like we had a girl during our dry try. We did a sprint in addition to 2 fulls, and she was always a power walker. And she decided during the dry try, I'm going to run the whole thing. She was just like, was so excited and had all this adrenaline. She goes, I never thought I could do that. And like just seeing her do that, and it was like, what else can I do? So it's like very like infectious and just wanting to do other hard things in your life. And that sounds great, but actually getting there and doing the thing is probably the hardest part, because life gets in the way, or maybe you're nervous to go try. So what would you tell a listener right now listening that is like, this sounds amazing, but I'm too nervous, or I'm afraid I'm going to be like too out of shape to go take an Orangetheory class, or I'm afraid people will judge me? What would you say to someone who's feeling maybe a little nervous about any group fitness setting, but in particular with Orangetheory?
Well, I would tell them that that's totally normal, and it is okay to feel those feelings, but that doesn't have to inhibit you from taking that next step. Because if it's on your heart, it's on your heart for a reason. And I myself was very uncomfortable. I considered myself out of shape. I felt a little bit insecure, actually a lot of bit insecure. I'm not even going to downplay it for you guys. And through showing up and just one day at a time, don't focus so hard on what you want your end result to be, but fall in love with the process, that 1 hour a day where it's all about you, the music. Just focus on literally the next rep, 1 rep at a time, 1 step at a time, 1 class at a time. And before you know it, it's going to be your new lifestyle. And then you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, this has been my life for like 2 years now. That's kind of where I'm hitting now, where I was so proud that I went to X amount of classes in a week, to now that is literally so ingrained in who I am. And I'm someone that didn't consider myself to be that disciplined before. And it has come with time. So truly, the way that they design this, it is really addictive, which is great in some ways, because it's going to help keep you consistent, and you have that community nationwide through these different social media platforms that'll help keep you encouraged. You have coaches that will invest in you and believe in you. You get in what you get out what you put in, I should say. So if you go in and you want to make those connections with your coaches and with the people that are in your regular class time, like you're just going to reap the rewards even faster. So if anyone ever has any questions, they can always DM me on Brooketheory. I answer a lot of questions, especially for people that are new and in the early stages of their journey, because I have literally been there. And I stuck with it enough that I'm reaping the rewards now. And I'm just so glad that I did. So I always want to encourage people that are nervous to take that first step, that it could be the step that changes your life, because my life looks entirely different now. And it's all because I went to that free intro class. And like, discipline transcends beyond the orange light. So what you're cultivating in there, it's sure you're sculpting your body, but really I agree with what Emily said, you're training for life. And so many of the skills that I've learned in class have helped me in the workplace, in my social life, in my like business endeavors so it's just like the best investment that I've ever made. So
Yeah,
I could talk about it all day, but I mean, embrace the nerves, because everybody's been there, and eventually you're going to be helping the new person next to you who's trying to find their bearings in class. It just takes a little bit of time.
Totally. Totally. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. I love that so much. Well, kind of the last question I want to ask you, kind of based off what we were just talking about, you're training for a life in there and how it's influenced, other areas of your life. Because let's face it, doing real life is actually a lot harder than trying to hit like an all out PR. It's very hard in the moment. Like it's the very hardest thing ever in the moment, but real life things are actually harder. But do you feel like we're big on talking about habits here on Self Transform? So do you feel like Orange Theory has influenced other healthy habits in your life?
Yes, I definitely do. I'm also passionate about habits. Like high performance habits is my jam. And that kind of my passion for that spurred when I started Orange Theory. I started reading books like Atomic Habits and started doing different mental toughness challenges and habit stacking and finding the habits that work best for me in my day to day. Naturally, I think it's important to remember that habits have to evolve with us over time for them to truly be productive. So, habits that I had in the beginning of my journey, some of them may not be applicable now because you're just continuing to up level. And some seasons you're going to need to pour in more in one area. For example, when I was half marathon training, I had to take a little bit less classes per week. And then now that I'm not training anymore, ramping that back up again. So just understand that habits can change over time, but it just needs to work for you right now. And as you continue to grow, that you can continue to shift your habits. But yes, it has. Orange Theory has definitely helped me shape my habits. For example, like I habit stack. So on my way to class, I get there a little bit early and that's like my quiet time. So I'll either do a meditation, I'll bring a book and put it in the back seat and then, just sit in the parking lot and read a little bit. And just like unplug from my phone. So there are ways like that has helped me just kind of like unwind from the day. But also, like, in order to keep up with such tough workouts, it's really helped me nourish my body in a way that I can perform in class and boost my athletic performance. And it's increased my prioritization of like adequate rest because those workouts are not fun if you're not fueled and you're not hydrated and you're not rested. So I take my workouts and my recovery just as seriously as I take my workouts now, which is something that I don't think I learned before starting Orange Theory.
Sure. Totally. Yeah. What made me think of that earlier, it was like, you're like, how many times you come to a week now? It's just an unconscious behavior. It doesn't feel as hard now. Because when we start a new habit, right, it takes brain power and that's hard and it feels like another tab open in our head. And we're like, oh my goodness, I can't open another tab and put something else on my to-do list. But the more you do it, the more it's just an unconscious thing where it's like, okay, where am I going? When am I going to Orange Theory this week? When am I scheduling in my recovery? Oh, I want to make sure I'm fueling my body the next day. Cause me too, I've taken workouts on not a well-rested body or not adequately fueled. And I've been like, oh, like, no, and I'm sure people listening feel that same way too. So, I feel like just sticking with it, like that accountability, like we talked about at the very beginning, and stacking new habits. I can't tell you how many times I love to be in my car by myself, and I have so many habits I do by myself in my car. It's like my own little private meditation room sometimes too. So I love that you mentioned that too, Brooke.
Sometimes it's my own private concert as well. However, my car does not have the best sound system. So sometimes people can hear me blasting some techno, some rap out in the parking lot. I am that girl. So I totally get that. Yeah, the car is like my sanctuary. So yeah, but that's what I love about Orange Theory is they make it so easy to build that habit other than showing up. Like the workout's already planned for you. You're in and out in an hour. And some days it feels so tough. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys sometimes I don't drag my feet to get myself to class. Like it happens. It's not all rainbows and butterflies, but if you just focus on the act of getting to class and you just sign up, the habit is going to form itself and you're going to naturally be forming it just by going in and making the most of the experience.
Yeah. You're not going to regret it at, minute 61. You're not going to regret it then, for sure. For sure. You might be a little
99.9%. Yeah.
But you won't regret it. That's for sure. Okay. One last rapid fire question here, Brooke. What is your favorite kind of workout at Orange Theory?
Strength day. Easy.
Strength day. Okay. Mine is a power day. Love a good power day. Love it. Love it.
Teach me how. How do you
I think
Oh my
for
gosh.
me, anytime I hear inclines or like long endurance days, I get in my head personally. But with power days, I'm like, okay, these are short intervals. I'm going to bump it up as I'm moving along. And I get a walking recovery usually on the other side. It's a mental game
That's true.
for all of them. It's a mental game, but some days, I may be like, oh, I'm really digging this template. Do you prefer a 3G or 2G?
2G. My studio only offers 2Gs, but
Okay.
pre-COVID, I had done many 3Gs. I think it just reminds me of like the beginning of my journey. I mean, I'll do anything. I love Orange Theory, but I like the longer tread blocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And have you taken any Lift 45s?
Oh yeah, lift 45s, 90 minutes. I don't take lift as much as I would like to, but that was because with my half marathon training, lifting just kind of fell to
Yeah.
the wayside.
Totally. Totally.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited to take some more of those.
Yeah.
Do you like them? Do you
I
take
do.
them?
I love coaching them too because, they're smaller and it's a chance to really talk to members one on one. And a lot of times it's the same members coming most of the time regularly each week. And it's really fun to come over and just give them 5 pounds heavier from like the heavyweight rack with the big
So
old
you're
silver.
that kind of coach.
Well, and I do it in a really nice way. I'm like, look at this. I sometimes sneak it when they're not looking. So they turn around, they're like, Emily, Coach Emily, what are you doing? But then, same like we were talking about, like, man, look at me. I just went up 5 extra pounds. I'm a badass. What else can I do?
Absolutely. That's like the best feeling too when a coach comes and brings you a heavier weight or says, "Hey, I think you can lift higher." Like as I said earlier in the episode, like all it takes is someone to like see potential and believe in you and you can unlock something. So
Mm.
that's yeah, finding I found my own strength in that weight room and it's transcended into a lot of other things. So that's why I love strength day, especially because coming from like a pageantry background where I tend to have a more muscular build, especially from being a gymnast growing up and just also like genetics, I wasn't always encouraged to weightlift um, because there's a lot of narratives around that making you bulky and stuff. So I spent so many years being afraid of a lot of these types of exercises. So hopefully, if anyone has had a similar experience to that, that there is hope on the other side, and you don't have to be afraid of those kinds of things. In fact, like I now like love my arms. I went from like disliking my arms to having like such a nice shape, and it's because of lifting heavy. So
Oh, oh, yeah. Ladies listening, do not be afraid to grab some silver handles and go heavy. It is going to benefit you in the long run, not just physically, but mentally as well, for sure.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
love
and you'll grow to love the little calluses. Now I'm proud of them on my hands. I'm like, yeah, that means
Same.
I've been
Yep, they
working
don't go
hard.
away. I love it so much. Well, Brooke, I won't keep you any longer, but I'm so happy to have connected with you today. I'm glad we got to check that off your vision board for the year. I love it when stuff like that happens. Where can everyone connect with you to learn a little bit more about what Orange Theory is all about and to have a little fun with Orange Theory memes?
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll have to come visit you in Indiana. I definitely like a coach that comes in and sends me a heavier weight. So I would love to visit. Um, if you guys want to learn more, a little bit about my story, I have an account called Brookie Theory. I answer a lot of questions there, especially for like new members and I recap the workouts. It's a whole thing. But then if you want to like have some daily laughs, you can also join us over on Orange Theory Memes. I share a lot of voices from the community there. And daily content inspired by the workouts, I mean torture that we are all going through. So come hang out with me on both accounts. They're both different types of content, but super fun. If you need some fun workout playlists, you can follow Brookie Theory on Spotify and Apple Music. I make playlists for every benchmark, anything to get you excited. What else? Yeah, but that's really the main three areas where you can keep in contact with me. And come tell me that you were sent from the podcast so we can connect and I know who listened. That would be so awesome.
Totally, totally. And we'll make sure to link all that in the show notes here as well. So, Brooke, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was so fun chatting with you. It's so fun when you chat with other folks that love Orange Theory. And I know you're going to inspire, hopefully, a lot of other people to show up for that first intro class too and take a chance on themselves.
That would be great. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Brooke, thank you so much for this conversation. I so enjoyed talking to you. I loved listening back to this conversation. I was taking so many notes, it was hard to pare down my 3 biggest takeaways, but I did it and I'm going to share it here with you all now. So let's do it. Number 1, my biggest takeaway was sometimes a workout is more than a workout, regardless if you're doing Orangetheory, Peloton, yoga, whatever. I love Brooke's story about how she changed from the inside out. And it was just more than about the aesthetics, right? A lot of times when we think of fitness, we get so caught up in our appearance. How is this going to make my pants fit better? How is it going to lift my booty? How is it going to make my shoulders look bigger? We get caught up in that, right? And I love how she was able to reclaim her love of wellness and really feel like she has become the person she always wanted to be, just by showing up for a workout. And that is the beauty of fitness, y'all. When you finally find a workout that, like I talk about so much here, is your soulmate workout. It brings you so much joy. It's joyful movement, even though you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna die during this 30-second all out. It feels like you are transforming from the inside out. When you find something like that, you know that feeling. And maybe you haven't found that yet. We've talked about a lot on the show, kind of dating around for different workouts, if you will. And I would seriously, and hopefully you would consider maybe trying Orangetheory as something for you to help you transform from the inside out. Number 2, Orangetheory makes it easy for you, and the community was just icing on the cake. Like Brooke mentioned, the beauty about Orangetheory is you show up, the coaches lead you through the workout. I take the time to learn the template, to coach it in a way to help push yourself, to help you get stronger mentally and physically. But all you have to do as a member or even as a guest is just show up. Show up, go through each rep, each step, each part of the workout. But while you're there, the community is just icing on the cake. So there's a lot of wonderful challenges, the dry try what we were talking about, benchmarks coming up, but the community helps you keep showing up. And like Brooke mentioned, you get out of this what you put in. So any type of group fitness workout that you decide to go do. Now I know a lot of times, sometimes you want to be a loner. And if you're showing up to 5 a.m. classes like I coach, I know sometimes it takes a while to warm up to people because you are like, girl, I am barely awake. I cannot even get to even talk to this person, Coach Emily. But you get out of it what you put into it. So if you are showing up for group fitness, I would strongly suggest that you introduce yourself to folks. Air fist bump somebody, smile at somebody, make some eye contact, make a little conversation, small talk in the lobby before you come in a class or even outside a class. Like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. I never thought I could do that. How long have you been coming to class? It's really going to help you build some accountability because you'll make friends. There's going to be people counting on you to come there. I mean, there's folks that they've been coming to our studio for years and they have their set treadmill they always like to do. They've gotten to know other folks there as well. They're in group text with each other. They do social events outside of class. It's such a great way to build a friendship with somebody who has very similar interests as you, because you got to think of it this way. If these folks keep showing up over and over and over again for hard things, they are probably a really inspiring friend to have as well. So Orangetheory makes it easy once you're there, but you got to put in the work to help build the community as well. We help you do that for sure. And lastly, we're talking about doing hard things because Orangetheory is a very challenging workout, but like Brooke mentioned, showing up is the hardest part. I was invited by a couple of girlfriends who were coming to Orangetheory already, and I freaking fell in love with it. Like I mentioned, I was like, I am going to coach here, and here I am now. And showing up is the hardest, especially if you're showing up at 5 a.m. or even after work for that matter. But showing up is the hardest. And like Brooke mentioned, discipline transcends the orange lights. And if you're like, why do you keep talking about orange lights? It's because we have orange lights in the studio, okay? So it transcends the actual orange lights, the actual workout. Building that momentum, building that strength in class, taking one step at a time on that treadmill from a power walker to a runner. that can apply to your real life, personal, business. And let's face it, what you do in real life is really hard. You know, there are a lot of hard situations that come up in your life, and having to build that mental fortitude that I can do hard things because I handled something under those orange lights, it's going to help you in your real life. I promise. I've seen it personally happen for me. I've seen it happen for numerous of our members as well. So many of them have come up and told me stories like, Coach Emily, I've heard you in my head saying you can do hard things, and I ran this half marathon, or I was doing this other thing. Someone gave me a bracelet at Christmas that said you can do hard things, because I so strongly believe it. So showing up is the hardest part. Once you're there, just fall in love with the process. It's one step, one rep at a time. Like Brooke had mentioned, I love that she loves habit stacking as well. She is speaking our love language here at Self Transformed as well. This is you're able to stack this habit onto something else that you're already doing. But what I love even more is what she did was build a positivity snowball that has some major momentum. So showing up is the hard part, but you're going to build a positivity snowball. And what that means is it's going to influence other healthy behaviors in your life. That community aspect, like we talked about, you're building a friendships with other folks who have similar interests. Oh, you're probably going to start, sleeping better, eating healthier, because it influences that in your life. You're going to maybe start feeling more confident about yourself. Y'all, it is a positivity snowball, and we are going to help you find that. Okay, so Brooke, thank you so much for coming on the show. I so loved chatting with you, and I love talking with other folks who love Orangetheory as much as I do, and you're so genuine, and I so appreciated you taking the time to talk to us today. Again, you can find her at Orangetheory Memes and Brookie Theory on Instagram. I'll link that in the show notes for you as well. Make sure to come over and join the Self Transformed community if you want to elevate our relationship a little bit more, get some more free coaching, and learn or connect with other people, like-minded folks in our group. I'd love to have you there. So let's wrap up here. I hope you are living your life with more life by trying hard things that you never thought you could do. And let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Let's go all out. If you know, you know. All right, gang, I'll catch up with you later this week for Habit Hack Thursday. Hey girl, real quick, before you go, if you love today's show and know your girlfriends need to hear this message too, then grab a screenshot, post it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at EmilyNichols22, because the more mamas out there hearing this message, the more empowered we'll all feel to take care of ourselves so we can pour from a full cup. Or the number one way you can thank me for this podcast is to leave a rating and review in iTunes. That way, more mamas will find the show here too. Love you and appreciate you, girlfriends. See you next time.